Good morning, Anthem. Hope you all are doing well, you and your families, and hope you got some sunshine this week. It was a beautiful week, and to get out and do things with your family, I hope you were able to do that. Brother Drew and I want to let you know that we miss you very, very much, and we can't wait until we're all back together again as one big youth group. In the meantime, just connect with each other during FaceTime, Zoom, whatever you can do to stay connected to your friends. Let's do that until we're able to meet again. This morning, our lesson is going to be on Palm Sunday. And basically, Palm Sunday is the Sunday right before Easter. Many refer to it as the last week of Jesus's life. Maybe you may have heard it as Holy Week. It's obviously right before Jesus's crucifixion. Many of the dramatic events that occurred this week demonstrated who Jesus was and what he believed. This week was so important that three of the gospel writers, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, devoted full third of their gospel to reporting this eventful week. And the Gospel of John dedicates its entire last half to this event. So these writers recorded what took place. They felt it was very important to report. Jerusalem was a city for all believers, Jews, Muslims, and Christians. The temple in Jerusalem was a place of worship in Jesus' lifetime. He studied with the priests and the elders there when he was only 12 years old, and some of you remember that story. He celebrated many feasts of the Passovers there. Jerusalem had a normal population of about 50,000 people, and that had tripled in size because of the influx of pilgrims coming to celebrate the Jewish holiday Passover. On Palm Sunday, Jesus entered into Jerusalem on the back of a donkey. Great crowds of people lined the streets waving palm branches to welcome him. The people shouted, "Hosanna," and laid their cloaks and palm branches in the path. And some of them may have broke out into a song that maybe you've heard before, and it's called Hosanna. And it goes a little something like this. Maybe you can join me. It goes, Hosanna in the highest. Let our King be lifted up. Hosanna. It was a custom to lay palm branches on the path for kings entering the city. The people had surrendered themselves to Jesus' authority by taking their cloaks off and laying it on the ground. The palm branches were much like these, and I brought a few so I can demonstrate possibly what they looked like. A lot of them were waving these branches and singing Hosanna and shouting his praises. So they were much like these that were waving, signifying the expectation of a military victory of their king over the occupying Romans. So that's what was signifying, what they were signifying that day. They began waving the palm branches and shouting Hosanna, "Blessed be the King who comes in the name of the Lord." You see, Jesus came on a donkey rather than a horse, which signifies the peaceful nature and humility of his entry. Jesus is entering Jerusalem to bring peace and forgiveness. But just a few days later, very many of these same people that were cheering in the crowd would be among those shouting at the end of the week, Jesus to be crucified, crucify, crucify him. Religiously, Jesus was a dangerous item. The people were hailing the teacher from Galilee as something more than a man, and that was not accepted in Roman culture. The Jewish religious officials were afraid that if Jesus were to continue performing miracles, he would win over the people, and the Romans would come in and destroy the very temple that some of them worshiped in. Personally, the Pharisees had been challenged by Jesus in public debates and humiliated, so they would be happy to conspire with the scribes and elders and chief priests. There were economic motives for opposing Jesus as well. Right after Jesus entered Jerusalem, he went to the temple and saw them buying and selling. And some of you may remember that story. He drove them out, turning over the tables and the money changers. My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves or robbers. And so there were many that were seeking to destroy him. This caused a major disruption in business, of which many were not happy about. There were many reasons for dealing with Jesus. Pontius Pilate was also afraid that so many Jews gathered together from all over Palestine might start riots against the Roman government. So he was okay with going along with getting him out. The Jewish Council of Elders played on Pilate's fear. They were afraid that Jesus would start a religious revolution against them. They thought if the people would follow his ways of teaching and healing, that they would no longer be in charge of the temple. But Jesus demonstrated humility. And that's what we can take from Palm Sunday. What can we take from Palm Sunday? What can we learn about Jesus' as entry and his character? What did he demonstrate? He demonstrated humility. He entered Jerusalem riding on a donkey, the lowliest animal in the farmhouse, if you will. We can learn to express greatness in our lives, and that is to learn to be humble. The definition of humility, a modest or low view of one's own importance, freedom from pride or arrogance, does not believe they are better than other people, the quality or act of being humble. Humbleness. Humility is love of God and love of others. Humility is being in awe. Awe means an overwhelming feeling of reverence, admiration, and wonder. Humility is a quiet inner joy. Humility is being able to admit when you make a mistake, willing to seek advice, and willing to try again. Today, we can learn from Jesus' example. Though he knew who he was, he didn't let the cheers of the people on Palm Sunday, nor the mass following of the crowds from all the miracles he had performed through his journey, allow him to get prideful or arrogant or holier than thou attitude or mentality. He came as a lowly servant. He said, I came to serve you. Today we can learn that he is the King of all kings. He is to be praised, and we are to lift him higher, higher, and higher. Let our King be lifted high. So today I ask that you remember who he is. Give him all the hosannas, because he and he alone is worthy. May God bless each and every one of you as you celebrate Palm Sunday, and we look forward to seeing you next Sunday for Easter. God bless. We love you.